Diane, please remain attached.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Coming to you from the studio, located in the Nemesis Stars, planet Earth. The transmission, transmission, try the best,
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a lift-off.
Welcome everyone to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keane. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out, www.spreaker.com/user/Best Damn Podcast. Always check us out, the Best Damn Podcast. Twitter at The Real Best Damn, and wherever you're watching from, please make sure to subscribe, follow, hit the like, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And oops, I'm picking up some sound here, so let me fix this, guys. Tonight I have a special guest for you guys, Jesse Howe of The Missing Link. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to go ahead and try to get straight into this. I appreciate all of you guys for joining me tonight. I want everybody to go to Jesse's channel. I got the links in the description. Facebook, Twitter, Telegram. Jesse has done the Truth Telethon. He has done the Missing Link channel, and he's had David Icke, Max Egan, just some amazing guests. I actually pre-recorded this interview just a little bit earlier, right before we got doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and go right into it, send y'all off to this. So please support Jesse, share his work. And like I said, go check him out over at his channels. All the links are in the description. I'm going to be in the chat tonight watching with you guys. And after the interview's over, I'll be back on. So everybody enjoy. Here's Jesse Howe, The Missing Link.
Honored to be here with you.
I don't know about brilliant, but I'll take the compliment anyways. I appreciate you coming, man. First and foremost, like I said, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to join me. You've invited me on your channel in the past, and I believe I'm coming up in second week or something of November again. And you've had a lot of brilliant guests, a lot of amazing people on, including David Icke, just to name. I was talking about watching that before you actually joined me. But I wanted to actually bring you on tonight, though, to get to know a little bit more about you. You know, you're always talking to other people and getting their perspectives on things. So I thought it'd be cool to just see what Jesse Howe's about. Like a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background.
I grew up in Calgary, Canada, and my parents are from Czechoslovakia. They came over to Canada in '68 when the Russians invaded Czechoslovakia. They were in Vienna to go get married. And then they had a choice to either go back to the country that just got invaded by the Russians, or they got granted amnesty in either Canada or Australia. And then they chose Canada. And I didn't know any English, growing up. Obviously my parents didn't know much English. My dad was a painter. So he didn't have to speak too much at work, right? You just paint walls. And so I didn't start to learn English until I was about 5. years old when I started hanging out with, like some of the little kids and stuff. My parents managed an apartment building downtown, and I, started learning English, but, always felt a little bit different. I thought maybe it was because of the language, a little bit of a different soul compared to a lot of other people, like a lot of us, that are out here online now. We see there's a lot of different souls that, I got bullied kind of when I was growing up, and so it was a little bit tough. I just loved everybody, and just tried to make my way the best that I could. But it just seemed like, I had some friends, but I had a lot of people that didn't like me for some reason. So, I just kind of had to go through that growing up. I got kicked out of my house at an early age because I was always one that never really followed the rules, didn't follow the rules at home, didn't follow the rules at school, didn't follow the rules the road. So, I just kind of, just basically lived my life the best way that I seen that I could. And, by the time I was 16, 17, I was hanging out with some really rough and tough people. So I learned how to protect myself and, no longer get bullied. And, and at that time I was kind of, looking for bullies to bully anybody that was messing with people. I would not even know the people, and I would just, hey, that's my buddy. What are you doing? Oh, sorry. And so I would just, use that newfound power to, try to do as much good as I can. And then, obviously once, I turned 18, got into the alcohol scene and the party scene, and kind of my life kind of went kind of sideways from there. But I always knew something was wrong. And even when I was back in school, I went to I went and volunteered with an alderman, political. I wanted to I actually wanted to hang it out with and try to take over the government. And so this was like 30 years ago, because I'm turning 48 on Tuesday. So wow. This was when I was like 18, 19 years old. I used to have big meetings, and people would say that was like my cult, and go preach, or call me preacher and this and that. But I just knew things were wrong, and I was just trying to unify people to stop the tyranny that I seen, 30 years ago, which it's nowhere near to where it is today. But, and then when I got caught into the alcohol and the party scene, and I found a way to make money by, getting partying and stuff. So, bars would pay me, and I lived in Cancun, Mexico, where I took people VIP to the nightclubs and got paid to get hammered every night. And I did lots of bar promotions, and I played pool, hustled in pool. So for many, many years, I just got paid to, have fun, basically. So that led to down some roads, made some mistakes, realized did lots of friends, weren't really friends. A lot of people, there's a lot of, in that scene, there's a lot of users and abusers. And, I got taken advantage of a lot throughout my life. And about 8 years ago, I went on a houseboat trip, and I thought it was just such a crazy time. I went with some people, some I didn't know, some real, crazy people that, got us into some trouble. And I quit drinking, I think the day before, because I thought I broke my back. I broke my hand. I got stung by a wasp. I was actually on some mushrooms the night before, and there was a wasp, and I caught it in my hand, and I opened it up, and he just flew. I was still up partying, and I wanted to show some people, hey, I caught a wasp last night, check this out. And I caught the wasp in my hand, but this time he bit me. So this whole trip was really crazy, and that was it. I decided, what, I'm not going to drink anymore. And I stopped drinking alcohol 8 years ago. Not just that, but it was to stop smoking cigarettes, because every time I quit smoking, I quit drinking, and every time I started drinking again, I started smoking again. So I quit 8 years ago. I quit drinking alcohol. 7.5 years ago, I quit all synthetic drugs. And 7 years ago, I quit smoking cigarettes. 4 years ago, I quit eating meat. I still eat eggs. I still eat some cheese, which, obviously that's not the best for us, knowing what they do to the cows and, knowing what they do to the milk and the cheese and stuff. But I'm just, about 12 years ago, I went on a 45-day trip to Asia. I went to 8 different countries in 45 days.
Wow.
And before I went there, I was kind of pressured into getting the shots, and I kind of, at the time I was hesitant, but they're saying you're going to all these third world countries. What if you get this and that? And again, use the fear tactics to get it. And I ended up getting the shots, and about 4 or 5 days later, I started to get Achilles tendonitis, and then it started attacking my hip joints. And I've been battling kind of this health issue. So part of the quitting the drinking and the drugs and the smoking and the meat, and really focus on drinking smoothies and taking my vitamins and all this kind of stuff. I've been on a real health journey to learn as much that I can from the health and wellness, and then make people aware of what these shots hard push for the last whatever 10, 12 years on Facebook, pushing that out, and then researching, finding out the ins and outs about what's going on with the world and how deep and dark, some of these rulers are that, rule this, and finding out it's a 6,000-year-old death cult that, is really, is really not good, and they're destroying everything here. So I've been doing everything I can to expose it, making people aware of it. And, I remember before the election for Donald Trump, I knew how bad Hillary Clinton and, her, nasty crew is. And so I remember I would, and like when I say I quit drugs, I still, consume cannabis. I consume cannabis for the pain in my legs, but to me, that's not drugs. That's to me, it's a medicinal. It's a herb. It's not drugs. So when I say I quit drugs and I say I smoke cannabis, I'm not smoking drugs. To me, it's medicine, not drugs. So during the election time, I would just smoke a nice big joint when I get back from work. And then I would write really in-depth pieces on how, and showing people on how bad Clinton and her crew was. And, really eloquent. I'm a really good writer. And then I would copy and paste it to every single political post and anybody that post anything political, any single website. So I was posting this thing that I wrote to 60, 70, 80, 100 pages per night. I would write something else every single day I went for months and months and months, trying to expose how evil and nasty these people are. And then, it's like, no way that Trump's going to win. No way that Trump's going to win. And I just did everything I could to help him win because, I watched The Apprentice. I actually kind of liked him. I didn't have any bad things about him. I didn't know too much about that. He went to Jesuit school, and, I saw some different things that were inside of his Trump Tower, noticing like on the side of his building, he's got, his trees that are in an upside down triangle, and there's 6 trees on each side. So, I started learning that stuff later, but, I figured that he was a better option than, the Clinton crew. And so I did everything that I could to help expose her and, and then maybe help him get elected. And, all of a sudden he gets elected, and I was like super happy. And, there are a lot of people that weren't, a lot of people that, they took what the media was saying and really hammered the guy. And, from what I can see, he did some things with the fracking and the coal and a few things that I didn't agree with. But overall, I think he did a pretty good job compared to a lot of other presidents. He exposed a lot of things in the media and did a lot of things. But I know because of what I did and how many pages I posted to, I think I kind of had a little bit of a part in why people are getting shadow banned so much these days. Because this was, before the shadow banning, and I went off. Like I'm talking, I probably shared to 2,000 pages during the election, if not more, because I just knew how important it was that Clinton didn't get in. And
But do you think though that maybe Trump was kind of like designed to bring people like you and me out? You know what I mean? To get us out in the open to show our dissent for the one world system a little bit.
When you think about everything that's going on, and we know that leaders are, they're selected and not elected. And, we know that, Trump is, he had loans from the Rothschilds and, things like that. So, did he, and is he being painted like this bad guy and getting people because they want him to look like that and they want to expose people? I'm not sure, but that's, definitely a good possibility. I still try to have faith in goodness. I still have faith that, the light is going to win, and that, there's still lots of good people out there that are fighting for the good. So, I still haven't, closed the door on him and Trump, and, hoping that, maybe there is some goodness inside some of these people and some of these generals, and maybe that there is some stuff going on, with Howard when he made some kind of deals with the aliens and knew he regretted it. And, maybe they had some factions trying, like, I still have hope and faith that all this stuff is, going on and true, because, either way, if it's not, well, then at least we have some hope that maybe that we can right this ship that we're currently on, which is a crash collision course to destruction. And, that's, I believe that, I'm here to help stop this craziness. And I've been doing what I can, in my own little way, because obviously there's 7.5 billion people here. And, I've only been able to reach, a few thousand people, or, just, thousands of people. Like last month, we did this show called The Missing Link. We reached 60,000 people last month. So just on Facebook, on our one platform alone. So,
and that's a lot to what they're doing now.
With all the shadow betting.
Yeah, I mean, like when I first started on Facebook, the first time I went viral, I got like 500,000, and now I'm lucky to reach a few thousand. That's how crazy this stuff is, bro. And you had David Icke on, so you should be reaching a lot more than that. And you have an interesting guest all the time. What kind of pushed you in the direction to do The Missing Link?
I was at the beginning of the lockdown when things started at 2020. I just was going hard, of researching and searching all the deep, seedy darkness, and really immersed in trying to learn as much as I can to not be taken, to not be, deceived and stuff. So I just learning, and every day watching videos, and every day learning and posting. But with my posts, I would also post funny stuff, and I'd also post cute stuff. So I would do a mix. I wasn't just a crazy conspiracy guy that everybody was like, man, like enough. Like we just heard this over and over. So I'd post a lot of, cute stuff, things that, animals, or, cute things that happen, or really funny stuff. So I kind of try to mix it up with everything. So that way, when people would still want to connect with me and not just think that I was, into the crazy conspiracy. But once 2020 hit, and, this first happened, and we saw those people started dropping in the streets, and, they said that there's this virus. And, the first thing I thought was that it was they lit up the 5G, and that people were getting asphyxiated and they were dropping, and then they had to cover it up by this, virus thing, because they couldn't have people knowing and understanding how bad this technology, or how powerful, and how much control they can have over people, that they could literally kill people with this. Because if the masses knew how bad this was, then, like in England, they'd be tearing down these 5G towers, like how, they'd be doing that everywhere if people actually knew. So they had to cover that up. So this was my first thought about what happened. And then I kind of felt a little bit vindicated. I kind of was like, wow, all of a sudden everybody's researching, everybody's looking into this stuff. And I was like, okay, for what I've been doing for the last 14 years or 13 years straight on Facebook, and like I said, for 30 plus years I've kind of known, I obviously got sidetracked for quite a few years into the party scene for a long time, but I was still researching, still trying to organize, still trying to find out. But I felt like I didn't have to immerse myself in the darkness anymore, and I wanted to be more of a light. I wanted to be more of somewhere where we could have, a place where we could get together and have some goodness. So we started something called the High Vibe Love Tribe. So that happened on Meditate for the Earth Day, and I believe David Wilcock was doing a special alive, and he had some Tibetan singing bowls, and then I have my Tibetan singing bowl. So I decided I wanted to go live that while he was live. So I actually had my phone and I had him live. They were playing their bowls, I was playing my Tibetan singing bowl. And all of a sudden there was 20, 30, 40 people showed up on my live. And I was like, wow, I'm like people. And then I was like, people are like, well, you should come and do this tomorrow. And I was like, okay, let's do this tomorrow. And then I started going live every single day. And for the High Vibe Love Tribe, we did that for 11 months straight. So it started, I think, in March or April of 2020. And in 11 months, there was only about 4 or 5 days that we didn't go live. And that was because 2 days we were camping, there was no connection, and another 2 days I believe we were on a trip to Vancouver cross country and we didn't have connection. But in 11 months there was only 4 days that we didn't go live at 9 p.m. Eastern. So it kind of gave people an outlet to not be immersed in the craziness, not be immersed in the fear that was going on, because so the more they can make people afraid, the more power that they have over the people. So this was a place that people could go and research all day long, and then at 9 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock my time, we come to the High Vibe Love Tribe. So I turn on some electronic music and I just started dancing all funky for everybody, and then it started with 15 minutes of dance because I think it was 10 or 15 minutes, and I wasn't in the best of shape. Well, I've always been in good shape, but we ended up going up to an hour of dancing and weights, and then after that we did guided meditation. Then we did some Tibetan singing bowls with some healing frequencies. Then I did some bongo drum, and so we'd be live 2 to 3 hours every single night for 11 straight months. And people were like, so many people told me that this actually saved their life. I literally, even one of my buddies that I went to junior high school with, or even elementary school, he helped him through a lot of these issues that he was going through. He found out he was severely abused as a kid. He he put it out of his head, 10 times between the time he was 5 and the time that he was 15, he was abused, put it out of his head, went on with his life, forgot all about it, got a job, was a big manager of one of his companies. And, he's 40 something years old. And then all of a sudden he starts remembering all the stuff that happened to him, and it totally messed him up. And he had so much anger, so much rage. He had to leave the city with his wife and kids because he didn't want to be, they want to be around. He lost his job. And then he came back to this city and, was trying to heal, trying to figure out. He was just going crazy. And all of a sudden he found that this was one of the most healing, soothing things. Whenever I played this Tibetan singing bowl, he just finally, for the first time in years, he found peace, and he was looking forward to. And when I came and I saw him for the first time, when he hugged me and he's like, Jesse, you literally saved my life. And I've had many people just for that 11 soothing place. Every day having a nice place. We didn't talk about politics. We didn't talk about what's going on in the world. We just talked about, some meditation and love. And we really got a really beautiful family called the High Vibe Love Tribe. And during that time, there was someone that, I'm live every night, and people like at one point we were getting 2 to 3,000 live viewers. Like when I finished the live, the most was 3,400 people watched it in that 2 hours. Like when I clicked off, it was, that was before another round of shadow banning. We weren't talking about conspiracies. We weren't talking about anything. So it was really getting out there. And then during that time, someone had reached out to me and said that they wanted to do this truth telethon, it's truth or telethon, and they said that they wanted me to be the MC, and they wanted me to be like the host and the MC of it. And I'm like, I'm all about the truth, even though I haven't been into the conspiracies. I know all about it, and I'm like, anything to help get the message out there.
So I enjoyed participating in those,
which you were in. I believe you were in the second one.
The second one, I think I've done 2 of them.
And the third one. Yeah, so I think you were in the second one and the third one. So, so this was the first one. So it was in a different name, and they were going to have it, and then they had a group, and I wasn't part of the planning. I wasn't part of anything. They just asked me to be the MC host. I said, you know what? If I have to be up there for the whole, 10 hours, and there is no other guests, and we just need to make this thing happen, count me in. I'm in. That's it. And then a couple weeks go by, as they're trying to plan this out. And then one of the persons that were planning it, called me crying, it's dead. There were no more Truth Telethon. It's not going to happen. And freaking out. This person's a very big emotional manipulator, and, kind of like told me that, that because they wanted to make it commercial, they wanted to sell products, and everybody bounced off of it. And I'm like, you know what? Me and you will put this thing on. I go, let's do it. I go, there's 10 days, or I think there was like 12 days before it happened. And we said, you know what? I don't care if I have to be on for the whole thing. And so, we ended up getting a whole bunch of guests. I think our first one, we had 26, and we went for, I believe it was 12 straight hours. Yeah, the first one I think was 12 straight hours, which I hosted. I was online. I was talking to 26 people for 12 straight hours. I had to get up at 7 a.m. and I'm not an early riser, but because it started at 9 p.m. Eastern. Then I had to get up at 7 or 6 and to get ready, and I had to put on a nice suit, and I was for 12 straight hours, and lots of craziness, some people not showing up, some people late, here and there and everywhere, people coming in and out, and I was able to handled the pressure. I work very good under pressure, right? That's one of my, big skill sets, is that, I can handle whatever. And I think fast. I'm able to just, pressure doesn't bother me. Some people get flustered with pressure and things like that. Like, I'm the exact opposite. I thrive in it. So people after the show, they're like, wow, did you ever find your calling? And a lot of some of the people wanted to do monologues, but some of the people wanted me to be on, with them and kind of like interviewing them. And after, it was really in alignment with me. And then we had the second telethon, and then the person that I, originally did the first one with, kind of had a problem with the third person we had, and then some things went kind of sour, and that person ended up leaving during the show, just leaving us, and then wasn't involved in the third one, and then that kind of fizzled out because of the craziness with these people. There's just some people are very, very hard to work with. Very, very narcissistic, thinking that they should be on the camera and all this kind of stuff, and just problems. And it's about the truth. Like, really, I don't care if I was on the camera or not, right? It was about getting the message out there, right? Like, it made no difference. Fortunately, I excelled at being able to host an interview, and that was something that I just knew that I did really well at. And then so after that, I got a whole bunch of new contacts with some really amazing people in the world. And then me and my girlfriend talked about it, and I said, I want to do, this show called The Missing Link. And and then we just started. And our first guest was Henna Maria, out of she's Finland. She's a political activist. We had her on the Truth Telethon and asked her if she would be on, and she was our very first guest. And then we had number two, we had Juan Antonio Manzur, and then number three, I believe we had John Paul Rice, who he was a Hollywood actor, and then he kind of seen all of the horrible, pedophilia and all the different things that are happening in Hollywood. He didn't want to be a part of that. He became an independent filmmaker exposing that. And, he was the third guest. And then you were number four.
Wow.
You were the fourth guest on the Missing Link when we started. Like, you were right there. And I didn't know who you are before our mutual friend Victoria.
Yeah.
She's the one who brought you on to the second telethon. And when I heard you and your information, I was blown away. And, actually on the internet with your information and your delivery and, your tenacity. And I really became a big, supporter of yours, because I think that you do really good work. And, I think you're really smart. And I definitely, I admire you. So I would definitely wanted to bring you on as soon as I could onto the Missing Link. And I was so happy that you wanted to come on, and that you blew us away with another great show. And then we've had people like Sasha Stone, David Icke, Judy Mikovits. We just had yesterday, we had Tom Barnett from Australia. We've had Dr. Daryl Wolf.
I seen that one too, Daryl Wolf. I watched that one too.
He's come on twice now. He's now in Mexico. We've had Max Egan. He came on. That was a really, really, really good show. So it just seems like most people that I've reached out to and asked to be on the Missing Link has just said yes. Like, one of my first, well-known people that are out there was Lee Camp. And I've watched Lee Camp for years. So he's a political comedian. He used to have sometimes, he'd have 5,000, 8,000 people watching live. His videos would get 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 views. He was really, before he got shadow banned. Mm-hmm. And so I seen him for years and years and years. I watched him, and I really enjoyed the stuff that he does, because he adds a lot of humor into, his exposing, what's going on. And I really liked that delivery that he did. And then I didn't see him for a long time. I didn't see him. And we started the Missing Link. And then I was like, you know what? I wonder what, Lee Camp is up to. So I searched him, and then I seen that he was still doing his lives, but for some reason they didn't show up, or didn't come up on my feeds, or I didn't see him anymore. So I sent him a message, and I said, hey, I started this new show, called The Missing Link. Would you like to come and, be interviewed on there? And he said, sure. I was like, what? I was so happy and excited that this guy that I'd watched for years, and really been out there talking about stuff, and really has a kind of a huge audience, said he wanted to come on to the Missing Link. And then I had another friend that said that he was a friend at the time. He said that he had went and been on an interview with David Icke's son. And he's like, this is his contact information. He goes, maybe ask if he wants to be on the Missing Link, or maybe ask to see if his dad was. And I didn't even ask for him. I just went right to David Icke, and I said, this is the show. We've had Lee Camp, and we've had Sasha Stone, and we've had these other people come on. And I said, would you be interested in coming on the Missing Link? And he just said yes. And I was like, what? I was so excited that, most people that I've asked to be on the Missing Link have just said yes. And it just shows that, I'm in alignment with what I should be doing.
I agree.
And we started this maybe 6-7 months ago. And we just did with Tom Barnett, we just did our 90th show in 6 months. So we've been doing I believe in September we did 26, and in October we're probably right around 25. We've got 6 shows next week. We have six more. So we're going to be coming up to our 100th episode. So trying to get someone kind of, big and well known for the 100th episode, because I think that's a pretty important milestone to have for something that just started on a whim, and it just kind of, things just fell into place for it to happen. And we don't
Well,
we
I
don't
think
sell.
you're genuine though, and that's like what kind of even attracted me to you when I seen you in the Truth Telethon. Like just and even some that weren't as exciting or as thrilling, you were engaged. You were they were genuine questions, and I think that goes a long way with people. They can recognize when somebody's really passionate and they really care about something, and you knew what you were talking about too. That's a big thing for I think especially. I mean, I can't speak for the David Ikes and Max Egans, but for me at least, like people that I want to work with people that I know their stuff, that they're into it, that they care about it. So I think that goes a long way. So that's what attracted me to you, bro.
Thanks, brother. And I genuinely care, and the questions are genuinely questions that people have, right? So when you're watching it, you're like, what? Yeah, that's what I want to know. That's what I would ask. And like, I get a lot of, people message me and just say, wow, those are the exact things that what I wanted to know. Like, you just asked the questions, or I'd start typing out a question and then you would ask it, they would say. It's just like, again, being in alignment and, knowing that this is the right thing to do. And I just think that knowledge is power, and the more knowledge that we have about what's going on, about who's doing this to us, then maybe we can stop it, but maybe we can't. And, even if we can't, at least we know who's doing this to us. And, at least we're not so, blinded by, what's happening to us.
Well, what do you think are some like practical ways to stop the current situation of the world and kind of make our world better, just us as individuals or us as a whole?
Well, every person, has to make the world a better place in their own world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can make the world a better place by your own surroundings, how you treat your family, how you treat your friends, the things that you do, the recycling, the not wasting food, the helping out where you can. Everybody can change the world and make the world a better place. So no matter what happens in this dimension, no matter what happens for the next, the time that I'm still, afforded here, then I know that I've done so much to make this world a better place. I've made mistakes in the past. I was like I said, I was hanging out with some really rough and tough people, did a lot of stupid shit in my life. And I've done so much to try to make up for all of that and more, trying to put as much goodness out in the world. So I know I've made this world a better place just by like the High Vibe Love Tribe, just by, sharing this information, Missing Link, like things that I'm doing is trying to, not just make up for, some of the past craziness of my life, but actually, like, I care. I want to make the world a better place. I really want to fix this place. I believe that, and like I said, like 30 years ago, I was, given some of these things on how we could run water systems, how we could build cities, how we could, do solar greenhouses. I was mapping out solar maybe 25 years ago on buildings. I thought we'd have like the solar panels on the top of cars, and it would bounce off of buildings. We would use the sun. This is 25 years ago, bouncing sun rays off of things. And like, this is stuff that I created and like in my head. And I was like designing all this stuff out for one day. I thought maybe I'd become prime minister and I'd be able to, actually implement some of these things on how we could actually, make the world a better place. So I've been kind of on that journey ever since. I just went for politics for the last Canadian federal election. I put my hat in the ring for the first time, and I got this political party called the National Citizens Alliance. Well, they had gotten painted as a really conspiracy party, Islamophobic party, all these crazy things. So it was an uphill battle to try to even get people to want to vote for me, because if you looked at Wikipedia, it had some horrible things about our party, but it was untrue. But because we're anti-establishment, because we were against the system, because we were exposing 5G, they needed to make us look as bad as possible. So I went into Wikipedia, deleted all that kind of stuff, changed it all, made it all right, saved it, perfect. Came back an hour later, it was all back to where, all that. So someone is in charge of Wikipedia. Apparently some people out of Newfoundland or whatever, these people that are controlling things, and they make sure that people, whatever narrative they want, that's the narrative that gets put out there, right? And they try to stomp out all the other narratives.
They've done the same thing with the Tea Party in America and stuff like that. I mean, anything that's going to kill the paradigm that they got going on, anything that's going to destroy their systematic control. And I mean, if you're trying to undermine that or give independence to people in any way, shape, or form, and to control, people, you got to control the narrative. So that's where it's at now, is on the internet.
So I went out and I had a picture of my face pointing, and it said, "Leave our families alone, you tyrants." And I had these big, like 4 foot by 8 foot banners I put on some places. One of them got, one day, the next day I came there, was stolen. Someone stole my big banner. I paid $100 for this banner and someone stole it. And so I did some lives about it, and I ended up getting 74 votes, right? So I did, I got some votes and stuff, but again, it was when I tried, like, I'm a marketing major. So I, when I went to school, I was born a Catholic and I got baptized, but my parents really didn't take me to church or anything. So I was never really religiously indoctrinated. I never went to Bible school. I never was, I never had that religious indoctrination. And then in school, which is, indoctrination camp, I call it, I didn't pay much attention. And I was always just, trying to make friends or be liked and, goof off or whatever. And, I didn't pay much attention. Whenever we had tests or whenever we had assignments, I would just cram it 2 hours, 3 hours of cramming, read the book. And I did fairly well throughout school, but I never really got, indoctrinated by the school, because it wasn't one of those things that I was into. It was just read the information for the day that I knew it, do the test, and then forget about it. So I was never religiously indoctrinated. I was never indoctrinated into the school system. And so,
how we could, have practical applications to change the world around us, and we just got into where you were talking about how you ran for office.
Ran for the office. So so what we need done is for people to, we were talking about changing the world, is obviously changing, ourselves and our own world around us. That's great and that's all, but there's still this system, the beast system, that is really, really, as we can see, taking full force on, taking control of people and injecting them with this demon juice, I call it. And, that's, something that I'm not interested in. There's no way that I would ever inject this thing into me. And especially after me being damaged by one of their, injections, 12 years ago, I'm at the utmost that I'll never, ever let them inject this into me. It doesn't matter what happens, right? So, this is still going on. So we can, sing Kumbaya and change the world around us and do that as much as we can. And sure, that's great, but does that stop what's happening? No. So what we really need to do is, take to the streets and stop the economy, stop things from flowing, really get, if people have their hearts on, look at the first responders, throughout the whole entire first year, they put their lives at risk, through this, whatever this craziness was, putting their lives at risk. And then all of a sudden, now they don't want the jab, and now they're just tossed aside. They're no longer heroes. Now they're zeros. Well, we need this injection, and take to the streets, and if all of a sudden, if every single city around the world, 1 million people were downtown and say, no, we're not going to work,
That's
we're
right.
not going to do this anymore. If everybody in all the cities, we were able to organize where everybody took to the streets, whether it was once a week or every single day until things changed, tossed out the government, the governments have got to go. The government is what I think is Satan. It's the satanic system of government, of ruling over others. No man has the right to rule over me. No man has the right to rule over you, or no person. We don't need rulers. We don't need people to tell us what we should or shouldn't do, what we should put in our bodies or shouldn't put in our bodies. Like, that's all horseshit, right? And especially coming from this evil system that's destroying everything. And I've always said I wouldn't really care that these rulers wanted to rule if people were taken care of, if everybody had food, if there was no destruction, there was no wars, there was clean water, they weren't spraying chemicals in the air. We didn't have to look on every turn we look somewhere, they're destroying everything. And if this wasn't like that, if they were actually taking care of the people, taking care of their slaves, if they were actually taking care of all of us, then I wouldn't be doing what I was doing. You think I do what I do, and I paint a target on my head and get made fun of, and get attacked and get lies spread about me and like all these kind of things? Do you think I would really want to be doing this if I didn't think that this was a necessity? And that's where we are here today.
Absolutely, and I think the same goes for myself, man. And I relate to a lot of what you said, just as far as trying to outweigh the bad that maybe we've done in our life, or bad decisions in our past. I can relate to that. Like, that's kind of like what called me to want to do something positive, is because I thought, well, fuck, I've added enough to the pot here on the bad side of things. Maybe I can, make a positive change. And, mine was partying and the whole nine, man. So, and I see that with almost everyone, whether it's partying or gambling, something, man. We all got somewhere we come from. There's usually traumas. And, when we look at our system, this system of oppression, it's an archonic system. That's the whole root of the word. And govern, right? Govern, to control, mental, your mind. It's controlling our minds. And I think we've been forced into this position. It has been conditioned to the point to where they're just okay with this now, right? They're like, well, if we don't make waves, maybe they'll stop. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. They're going to take everything. And they're telling you what they're going to do too. It's not like they've been secretive. I mean, they were maybe decades ago, but it's all out in the open now. And it's very clear what the agenda is, and it's to get rid of all of us. So, I definitely, I applaud what you're doing, man. And, as far as, all of the things that we're facing in this world, I think it's a really brave thing for anybody to put their face on something, because you do become a target. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, I know the same type of, maligning that you get. And, it's not easy to deal with, because you're still a human being. And things still affect you, still hurt your feelings, like just as you're describing Truth Telethon and all that, just different things people falling off, you falling out with people, and they may not always be your fault or their fault, but just things happen, man. And this is an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle, and I think everything that you've done to contribute to it is it's an upstanding thing, man. And I wish more people would do it. I wish more people were brave enough. People were selfless enough to do it. A lot of people got this idea that if you're on Facebook or YouTube or you create content, that you're rich, or you're getting something that's this great reward for doing it, and they don't understand how much hard work goes into it, how much sacrifice goes into it. And a guy like you, 6-8 months doing this, you've already damn near done 100 interviews with some pretty damn impactful people, man. So I mean, I think it says that you're you're in super alignment with what you should be doing. What kind of spiritual practices would you suggest for people to kind of to get them into alignment with what you believe how you got into your higher purpose?
Well, the first thing that a majority of people need to do is to shut the F up. Most people need to stay quiet, get in alignment, do some meditation. And because a lot of people, they spew venom, a lot of people spew nonsense, a lot of people are spewing things that they have no idea just because they read it in some book or just because it's been taught for hundreds or thousands of years. They believe that this is the way it is, and that's the way. People need to take a look at themselves, look in the mirror, quiet themselves down, learn some meditation, learn to connect to source, learn to actually, like, we only see 10% here of actually what's out there. There's lots of energy, there's lots of angels, there's lots of spirits, there's lots of things that people don't see or hear, not only because they've been conditioned not to see or hear it. Oh no, you didn't hear anything, don't be crazy. Oh no, that's no, you didn't see a ghost, you didn't see that. So we've been conditioned to not want to know that there is an actual spiritual side to it. But source is love. It's God is love. Things are out there. They teach people to be afraid of it. Oh, there was you heard something. Oh, I felt some spirit come in. Oh, must be a dark spirit. Oh no, I should be afraid. But they're not out there to scare us. They're out there to give us messages. They're there to help guide us. And if you can actually shut your mouth for long enough to actually sit quiet and listen to the messages, then you can start to connect and you can start to see that there's things that will help guide you. And if you become in alignment, then source has your back. Like all of a sudden doors start to open up and things start to open up. And that's the big problem is a lot of people like to talk, just hear their own voice. And it's mostly caca that comes out of their mouth. And, it's like, how do we get into a better place where people are still, kind of like spewing the same indoctrination that we've all been trained to do through schooling, our parents and their parents and their parents. It's not something that just all of a sudden they just woke up, okay, we're going to take control and it's just happened. This is a long time of programming, a long time of indoctrination. But the most important thing I think people need to do is to quiet their mind, to relax, to know that you're okay, and that it's okay to start listening to the sounds, the vibrations of the earth, go out in nature, sit by a tree, go hug a tree, close your eyes, hug a tree and feel the roots that are connecting. They communicate with all the other trees around it. There's a big communication system that if you actually closed your mouth, closed your eyes, opened your ears, opened your heart, you could actually see and feel and connect to some of these things. Like first time I ever connected like this, because I've been kind of immersed in the native culture a lot for, the indigenous. And my very first sweat lodge that I went to, at the time I was like hanging out with some really rough and tough people. And, we wore suits and ties. We looked like mafia. Like this was like how I grew up and stuff. And then I kind of got away from that a little bit. And, I went to adult upgrading school. I went to college. And I went to this was during adult upgrading school. I met this guy and he was kind of connected. He wanted to learn more about the indigenous. And so he brought me to my first sweat lodge. Well, 3 days before I went to this sweat lodge, I paid $90 to get a spiral perm. So this, we're talking almost 30 years ago. So $90 was probably like $300 now at that time or whatever, right? So I had, my hair was always slicked back. I had always slicked hair. And then I ended up getting kind of like a spiral perm, and my hair has always been my thing. I've always loved my hair. I've always, like, my hair is, what do I like most on me was probably my hair. I just loved my hair, right? I loved playing with it and doing it, and I was just seeing all the different things. And So I got this Spyro perm and I paid $90. 3 days later, I go to this sweat lodge. I get up in the AM and I'm like, you know what? I'm shaving my head. And I buzzed my hair because I just was in this spiritual experience. I didn't want my hair to define who I am. And so for some reason, I never even thought of that ever. I had never had a buzzed head since I was probably 13 or 14 when my mom buzzed my hair the last time. So we're talking 12, 13, 14 years later. And I just woke up. I'm going to this thing. So I buzzed my hair. I go to this sweat lodge. I brought my hair with me. I spread it all around where the sweat lodge was. I had brought this big wax eagle with me, which I brought it into the sweat. And the guy's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Well, it's my eagle. I wanted to come with me." And he's like, "You can't bring that into the sweat lodge." He says, "That's an inanimate object." He goes, "By the way, that'll probably melt anyways, right?" He's like, this wax eagle. So I took it out. And then the chief, the chief or the medicine man, whoever is hosting the sweat lodge, sits on the opposite side of the door. So he's facing the entrance of the door. And I sat right beside, they wanted me to sit right beside the chief, right next to him is where I got to sit. And then, the sweat's open. They take the peace pipe. They start passing around the peace pipe. I smoke the peace pipe. And then he says to me, he's like, "Can you go, to the house and can you get this silver bucket and fill it with water and bring it into the sweat?" Right. And so for me, as soon as I walked outside of that sweat after smoking the peace pipe, I felt more connected to the earth and to the trees and to the bugs and to the birds. I could hear them buzzing. I could see them. I felt how connected we actually are. I never had an experience like this. And I don't know what was in that peace pipe, but it was like, it made me feel the connection to source, to Mother Earth, to everything around us like I've never, ever felt before. It was one of the most surreal experiences I had ever had in my entire life. Is that first time that you actually know how connected and how things are so connected. And so I went and I got the water, came back and sat beside him. They closed the thing and then they started pouring the water on the rocks and they do this singing and, like I'm singing with them. And it got so hot in this sweat lodge. I thought the top of my ears were going to melt. I have my hands on my ears. I'm like, this was the hottest experience. Like if there was like a hell, like it felt like I was like roasting in like some like oven. And I actually had to face into the ground in the dirt. I put my hand like this and I was sucking the cold air out of the ground because it was so hot. I couldn't leave because I'm sitting beside the chief on the opposite side of this big, and it's pitch black in there. So you can't like walk over these people. So I'm stuck in the hottest oven I ever been in my life. And it was quite the experience. I literally thought the top of my ears were going to melt. Like they were burning. Like it was so hot. And it was quite an experience. And then we ended up going to another sweat lodge, and I met the medicine man. His name is Dan Crane from the Tsutsuna. And then I started hanging out with him, going to sweats all the time. And then I would like go into like before the sweat, we'd go into the forest, grab some wood. We'd tie it to his truck. We'd bring it to where the sweat was. We'd chop it up. We'd build the fire, put all the rocks on it. And as the people were coming, so I was doing this like on a weekly basis. Like this was like amazing. I just loved it. That first one, even though it was so hot, and the experience and just the socialization and the prayers and the singing, and it was just one of those beautiful experiences. And it just kind of shows why they wanted to genocide the indigenous population, because couple hundred years ago, there was over 100 million indigenous here. Now there's less than 10 million. 90% of the indigenous population have been genocided in the last, 100, 200 years. And, people want to talk about these genocides, World War II, this and that. Well, it has 90 million people, has like 90% of one culture. Everywhere there's population explosion, but why does the indigenous has gone down by 90%?
And an interesting statistic on the jab deal, that it's fatal the most too. So.
Fatal the most. I just found this out. And also, so in Canada here, we had, I believe it was in the 80s, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip came to Canada for a tour, and they were touring all these Catholic schools. And I believe it was in Kamloops, BC. They went on an outing with, I think, like 17 of the Native children that were at the school, and only 12 came back. So 5 ended up disappearing, and you can search that up, Kamloops, BC Queen, for school. And I guess apparently she's had a warrant out for arrest. She hasn't been back to Canada or something like that, but she owns all the Commonwealths and stuff and can't be prosecuted or whatever. But, from all the research, we found that the indigenous blood is the most sought after blood by these psychopaths, these royals. They actually feed off of, because of their, whatever their genetics or their connection to spirit or whatever it is that they have. That's one of the reasons why they've been targeted so much, is because they've wanted the kids and the blood and things. And then the other is because of their connection to spirit, connection to source. They're wanting to they want people to believe that there is no spirit, that there is just the pharmaceutical, the mafia, the sorcery. And then that's the other thing, is their medicines, the natural herbs, natural medicines. It goes against the Rockefeller, the Rockefeller Foundation sorcery, of injecting toxins, popping these pills. Here, take these pills, but we need to take a blood test because it might be harming you somewhere else, but it's going to help you with some of these symptoms, but you need to make sure it's not hurting you somewhere else. And this stuff is insane. Like, when you can actually just eat some herbs and, drink some pine needle tea or drink some dandelions. Like, how many people think that dandelions are a weed and you need to pick them out and throw them out? We imagine, but they've made Monsanto and pesticides and Roundup and destroy all these weeds. Well, these weeds are actually medicine, but we've been so programmed that we think it's a weed and we should throw it out. We should spray chemicals that could possibly harm the squirrels or the birds or your dogs or your cats. You're going to spray this poison everywhere that's harming everybody because we don't like the look of the weeds. Like, it's pretty insane how we've been programmed.
And I would grow wildflower gardens every year, man. I'm big on that too, and I do believe that. And I know about the dandelions as well. And you know what? And this is just part of the indoctrination to turn us against everything natural, and they do it with ourselves too. Like climate change, for instance. I do believe there are natural reasons that it's occurring, and it's not just isolated to our planet. We see all the other, if there is a space and all of that, which we'll save for another day, but it's not because of us. They want us to feel like we're a parasite, man, and but humans are natural to this environment. Everything within us comes from this earth. And in our genetics, every plant, every animal is in our DNA. Like we are in equilibrium with this place when we are in equilibrium with ourselves. So I mean, that's just part of the mass mind control and the manipulation. They want us to have that same hatred for ourselves that they have for themselves, right? They're the ones that are the parasitic. They have to feed off of us, right? That's the whole archonic, demonic principle right there. They can't create, right? They can only create illusions out of something already made, or they can mimic. And that's why you see technology go to the machine learning and all of that. It's just copying what they already are. They're using it as a conduit and a medium to infiltrate, and they're terraforming our entire planet for this too. It's really a shame, you know. And you see, like, Hopi prophecy and all of that says only those who return to the original teachings, right, the original ways, are going to make it through, you know, this special time that we're in. And I don't even really see it as the end. I see it as a beginning. You know what I mean? Like a beginning, because we finally got a chance, I think, to learn from all of our mistakes from the past, you know, and that we have probably made lifetime after lifetime. I believe that we are in like a revelation or an end times, in like a, what type of context would you say?
Well, I never subscribe to the doom and gloom theory.
Okay.
So that's not my thing. And I just want to mention what you said before about the climate change. The Earth has natural warming and cooling cycles. So this is the way the Earth, for 8 or 10 years, it gets warmer, warmer, warmer. 8 or 10 years gets colder, colder, colder. So this is natural, been going on for hundreds or thousands of years. These are just natural.
Well, there's
warming
solar
and cooling.
cycles too.
Yeah, and this happens naturally. So what they do is they pump fear out, and then they control, so they can make money. They could squeeze people. It's right now they're squeezing everybody. And I guess one of the reasons why I do what I do is I believe that this is a new beginning. I believe that we are here for a purpose. We are here to help guide, help teach, help connect with as many people as possible, so that way we can come together and stop these parasites. I think this is the end game, but it is for the end game for the parasitic, archonic demons who have fed off of human suffering for too long. Because if we don't, the Earth doesn't have much time left, and then everybody's going to be gone off this Earth, because, you know, the oceans, which provide us 70% oxygen, comes from the ocean. It's not from trees, it's from the ocean. And as you see what happened to the Great Barrier Reef with all, you know, the plastics and the pesticides, dead zones in Florida from all the pesticides, from all the cotton fields coming, you know, all the sunscreens, all the chemicals that are going into the ocean, all the overfishing, you know, everything is not being symbiotic. So things are destroying. They've decimated, I think, 60 or 70% of all the rainforests on Earth. And, you know, this is another part of our whole ecosystem. And then they're spraying all the chemicals everywhere. If we don't stop them from, you know, this solar radiation management and all this insane things, like, again, it's natural cooling and warming cycles, but yet that just gives them a reason to destroy and then to charge people and tell us that's your fault. They give subsidies to all the oil and gas companies. They don't pay any taxes. They get all the subsidies. They're the ones, the oil and the gas and all this stuff is what's causing, supposedly causing all this stuff. But then yet now the people have to pay for it, not the oil companies, not the people that have been raping the Earth, getting billions of dollars and billions of dollars, squeezing everybody. Gas prices are insane, where we should be using thermal energy. We should be using biofuel. We should be using a lot of, you know, solar energy. Like I said, 25 years ago, I was planning, before any of the solar stuff, I was doing little maps and buildings and all these things. But you know, this is the type of technologies now that we're coming into, and we have to get, I believe the Earth, the oil is the Earth's blood, and I don't think that we should be taking the blood out of the air and burning it up, because, you know, and again, if it is necessary, I was talking to someone a day or two ago that were saying, they were trying to convince me that, you know, the oil is good to take out of the ground, because if we don't take it out of the ground, then it fills up in the Gulf of Mexico, it starts pouring in other places. And, you know, I don't know, that's kind of what people have convinced themselves, that, you know, because, you know, people say, oh no, we can't stop the oil and gas, you know, that's our energy. That's, you know, people are so afraid that they'll justify it in any way. And if we were to need it, then we should be, like Canada has our oil refinery right there. We provide it for the people in Canada or that area. America's got a lot of oil wells. They should be just providing it. Texas for providing around California and that area. They shouldn't be transporting it here on sea over there to there, because the more they can transport this stuff, the more money they make, the more higher prices that they can charge.
Well, and the pipelines are also for control too. Like, okay, we'll cut off your supply, we'll create a pipeline, from here to there, and now we own you.
Yeah, I used to work for TransCanada Pipelines when I was like 23 years old. I worked for Imperial Oil, which was another oil company. When I was at TransCanada Pipelines, I was, I think, like 22 or 23 years old. I was in the purchasing department, and I was responsible for buying 150 laptops. So this was like 25 years ago. That was my big thing, that I bought 150 laptops for the company or whatever. So I know about this oil and gas. Like, I'm a marketing major. I was the marketing manager of the Calgary Soccer Center. I was the marketing manager of Grand Prix Indoor Kart Racing. I ran a foreign immigration company where I helped people bring in people from other countries to help with the job shortages that we had here. But every time I was kind of in the business world is very sharky. It's, a dog eat dog world. And I that's not me. That's not who I am. And so I just, went back to painting. My dad was a painter. I started painting when I was 4 years old. They managed an apartment building. We have pictures of me with a roller at Ford company that he was working for every summer during, summer off. I'd work, during the whole summer, always had money until the time I, got kicked out. And so, I've experienced a lot, and I've gone through a lot. I've been through these oil companies and things, and so I know what it's about. But we need to get off this poisonous, destructive, behavior for us to continue on. Because the way they want it all a wasteland. They want to transhumanize. That's why I believe they're injecting the people with these black goo for the strongest to survive. The ones that can handle all of these graphene oxide and all these other things that are being
the ones who are genetically compatible
to their transhumanism agenda. Are another thing what you were saying about they have to tell us what they do to us. So that's part of their satanic Luciferian agenda. So imagine that these psychopaths that that drink blood, that torture and rape kids, they actually live by a code of conduct. It's, to me, that I doesn't even compute in my brain how people could be so evil and nasty, but yet they still have a code of ethics or something. And one of their things that they live by is that they have to tell us what they're going to do to us before they do it. And so I guess that they think that it absolves them of karmic liability. Because people are doing it to themselves. It's not them that's doing us. Yes, please inject that needle into me, instead of them having to come force it on you. You see, they're not coming door to door with armies and forcing it on people, because now that puts them in karmic, peril.
But I don't believe. Okay, well, and this is just from my own experience and what I don't believe it's got to deal with them, and they do. That's why they create pawns and things like that. They don't want the negative coming back onto them. But it's not because they feel guilt, but they want you to have guilt for participating in these rituals that they're creating to destroy our earth and all of us. But I agree with that. They're trying to because for every action there's a reaction. Whenever we bless people and we sow good seeds, it comes back to us. You're living proof of that right now. I'm living proof of that right now. We try to do something good to help people, and you know what? We're probably I'm just speaking for you here, but I can tell by the things you said. You've been blessed with all types of good people in your life, and you got to meet them, right? Just from trying to do some good. Same thing goes with evil. When you hurt and harm, because we all really are one, right? Ultimately, you're hurting and harming yourself. So they try to create ponds and barriers between them and that return. And they want you to participate in it. That way you will take the brunt of all of that, basically to get you to do it for them. It's disgusting, and according to them, because they don't believe in good or evil, and that's, you know, in hermetics and things like that, they just all believe it's, you know, different polarities of the same thing. So they call it the greater good, and the greater good to them is not the greater good of what you and I would consider. We probably have a you know, the same idea of what that greater good is, but to them, the greater good is what benefits them, and it might not be compatible with what our greater good is. So by the means, and they believe that, and they indoctrinate their people with, there are cataclysms coming, we have to do this. There's, you know, if we tell them this will be the reaction, they have a lot of tactics they get, and then once they have a person under their control, they usually, through Mossad, CIA, they compromise them and put them in a position to where if they tell or speak out, they're ruined or they're killed, or, you know, it's just it's a nasty, nasty thing that we have on our hands, and I do believe it's our fault too, in a way. We've all participated into this system, whether knowingly or unknowingly, and we've contributed to this and allowed this to take place. So now we have to take ability and responsibility and say, okay, well, since we kind of set back and let them do this for us, and it's gotten in this shape, now we need to, you know, we need to make the solution now, you know, and that's where I think we have a disconnect, is that a lot of people still just want to sit back. You know, it's like, well, look where that's gotten us. You know, it's time for us to step up and do something, and we don't need somebody to tell us what to do, as you said earlier. We don't need somebody to control our every movement, our every thought, and surveil our every time we take a shit. You know, we can do this. We've done it before any of this ever existed, and we'll do it long after. So I do want to wrap up here, but I want to get any final thoughts or any, you know, anything that you would like to leave the people with, and say thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate you, man, and just everything that you do. I think you're a good dude, honestly, and I don't say that about a lot of people. There's not a lot of people to say it about these days, man, but the few that are fighting, we don't need a large army. We just need an army. You know, and we just need, it only takes a few of us, because that's how much more powerful light is than darkness. You know, if it was even close to equal, there would be no creation, man. You know what I mean? If it was even close to equal, what we have is abundance, it's supreme, and it's beyond powerful. We can't even wrap our heads around what's inside of all of us, man. And I think you embody a lot of that, and you're a good person, a good soul, Jesse.
Thanks, brother. I've made my fair share of mistakes in my life to get to where I am today. But, you know, this last, 8 years since I stopped drinking alcohol really changed my life. Stop, synthetic drugs really changed my life. And there is a lot of good people out there. Just a lot of good people are hiding. A lot of good people are afraid. A lot of good people believe that, well, what can I do? There's nothing I can do about it. So why am I going to put myself at risk? Why am I going to put my family at risk where there's nothing I can do? But what you got to understand is you are at risk. And if you don't do anything, then the destruction is coming. And, everything that you love, it's like a big F you to God. They want to destroy everything. This is on a destruction path. And I like to make the analogy. Do you remember the first Terminator?
Yeah.
Do you remember the wastelands where you had those big machines and how everything was desolate and it was all just these machineries This is what's going to happen if people don't come together to stop this. People are too worried about who is who and what did what, and people talking about people behind their backs and trying to expose this and expose that, where there's actually psychopathic archons that drink and rape kids that are want everything destroyed. Do you think it matters who did what 20 years ago or 30 years ago or what, when they're wanting to destroy everything? And if we don't nonsense of dividing ourselves from ourselves, because really we're all here together as one, and they've done this by dividing ourselves in race, dividing ourselves in color, dividing ourselves in nationality, dividing ourselves in religion, dividing ourselves in sex, dividing ourselves in sexual orientation. All of these they've created to separate you from you, because we're all living this experience here together. We want to live in harmony. We want utopia. Everybody wants the same thing, but just nobody knows how to get there. And once you stop labeling yourself as a conservative or a liberal or a racist or a homo or phobic or anything, all these labels that they put people, like, because literally I don't care what anybody does here. You do whatever you want, as long as you're not harming anybody, you're not harming animals, you're not harming children, you're not harming anything. It's none of my business what you do. Have fun, enjoy the ride you want, have as much sex as you want, eat as much cake as you want, do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. That's your business and not mine, because I'm not here to tell anybody what to do or not to do. But if we don't come together and stop the labels and stop dividing ourselves and attacking each other, and start focusing on these 13 families, the ones that have been pulling the strings, there's about 5,000 of them, that the rest of them, and people think you might be in the CIA or in the military or in the police or in the Freemason, you may be a Freemason in these Mason lodges, and yes, I'm just going to do what, my Mason Brotherhood says. But you are expendable just as much as me and John are, because there's only a small group and they don't care about anything, because now they've got their AI, now they've got their robots, they've got their slaves, they got their miners, they got their workers, they got everything that they need, that you are now expendable. Yep. And, you might be defending this system with everything that you got because you think that it's what you need to do, but you are defending the destruction of humanity. And now is the time to come together. Now is the time to realize that we can do this, that we don't need these psychopaths ruling us anymore, and then start to heal again. And I think a lot of it starts with meditation, quieting the mind, connecting again to nature, to source, to your heart, and live in your heart and know that everybody's your brother and sister. And that's about it.
Man, awesome. I love that, bro. I love that, man. And I did put in the description, and I'll also put it at the top of the comment section, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Telegram. I just want everybody to go show love to Jesse Howe and the Missing Link. I'm serious. You heard some of the guests he's had. Max Egan, David Icke. This handsome fella right here. I mean, come on, man. You guys go check him out, showing some love, and subscribe and follow and supporting, because we got to support each other. That's number one. Lift each other up. He's putting his ass on the line just to try to create some positive change. And I really, really appreciate you, man. And I will see you November 11th at 8 p.m.
November 11th, Remembrance Day, and that's Hawk, my puppy's birthday. So he's going to be 3 years old on that day. So we'll try to make him have an appearance that day on his birthday. Maybe he'll have a little party hat or something.
Awesome.
On. Thanks very much, and thanks for all that you do. I really appreciate you having me come on. Not many people, ask to interview me. It's usually I'm just out there interviewing other people. So when someone does ask me, it feels really good. Wants to hear a little bit more of me. And this is actually, I think, the third interview that I've done in the last maybe month, but and so people are actually a little bit more interested in hearing about me and stuff, which is really really good. I've never asked anybody for anything. I'm still painting houses and busting my ass. I'm still, I would like to do this, full time, where I could just do research and do this, but I've never figured out a way how to monetize any of this kind of stuff. So I've just been doing this just, because I think it's the right thing to do. And
Well,
you know,
talk to me after tonight's show airs or something. Maybe I can help you. But I'll tell you this right now, it's hard even for I've been doing this full time for a few years now. It's the environment. It's the shadow banning. It's all of it, and they're trying to make it impossible for us to. They want us to go back into the rat race and all of that, and I'm right now just had to get other work because and I haven't worked a real job in 6 years because I've been doing this stuff or 5 years at least. I worked one the first year or two I did this, and it's just hard to get support because people are told that there's a stigma with truthers that they shouldn't be supported and financially. There's all kinds of things, and it's just not true, man. You're working hard out there, so people should support you, and I hope and encourage everybody to. And one of the best ways you can support a person doing content is by sharing them and just engaging with them and just, helping with their algorithms and the presence of them to bring more people in. It's a big thing, man. And being, positive vibes, prayers, love, all of it. Every little bit counts. So.
Yeah, and if you know that John is going to be on and you're someone who likes his work, and you're busy, you can always just pop on for 1 sec, just go share it to a couple groups. That, you don't have to stay and watch everything, but just, if you could know that he's on and he's sharing, or just like whenever the missing link is on, you don't have to. We've done we've done 90 shows in the last 6 months, and shows are 2-3. We did Remigio Pereira, which we did 4 hours and 45 minutes, almost 5 hours. So, we don't expect, you to watch every single episode, but if you're just out there and you have a second to quickly share it out, that's really appreciated, because we're trying to connect with as many people as we can, so that way we can stop these demonic archons from destroying everything here, and it's for the benefit of us all.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jesse, man, and I look forward to seeing you on the 11th, brother.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me, and bless y'all. Sending you all love and light and energy that we all send out. So I hope you can all feel that and, connect with us anytime you want.
All right, brother. You have a good one, bud. Well, I really enjoyed that, guys. That was Jesse Howe from the Missing Link. He also hosted the Truth Telethon. He's an amazing guy, guys, for real. I did put the links to Jesse's channels, his Facebook, his BitChute, his Telegram, and his Twitter down in the description box. So wherever you're watching, make sure to go we're all on these social media platforms anyways. So, go subscribe, go follow, and go check out some of his videos. I mean, if you're just a fan of this kind of stuff anyways, then you're going to like his content. I do. He has all types of interesting and cool people come on all the time. He's had David Icke, Max Egan. I don't even know how he gets these fucking people, but he does. So that just shows you, he's in tune with what he's supposed to be doing. And when you get there, you heard the man, he's trying to do this, full time. He really is committed to this, and whether people see it that way or not, a person like himself, what he's doing benefits each and every one of us. He's fighting for our sovereignty, for our rights, for our freedom. You might not see it like that, but he is, and he's doing something really selfless and really dangerous. So if you guys can financially support him and all of that, do that too. He's a great guy. I do want to say thank you to everybody tonight. for joining me in the chat. It's always cool to, and here, let me throw the chat back up since it's my mug on here. Oh, well, maybe not. I think I got it underneath my video here, so. But I hope everybody enjoyed tonight. Tomorrow night, I will be, I think I'm going to do like a Discord for everybody though. Like everybody's welcome to come. Everybody's welcome to join. I'm not sure. I'll probably do something public too. And then the next night we're going to be doing Unveiling the Mysteries, the next one. So that's for sure. So tomorrow night I'll definitely be going live as usual. I just had, and the reason I even pre-recorded this, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to stay awake for all of it, because I had to make the interview a little earlier. Yesterday I was so tired, so I didn't want to be falling asleep on the video. Let me just say thank you to each and every one of you guys. If you catch this video, please hit the thumbs up. Like, do that for me. Please share this. Get it out there. That way other people can see it. Subscribe and follow if you have not. And share. Share this link. That way, you know, that's like the best way to help out, man. Any content creator, any person you watch, any person you like, sharing it so new people can find us. They are doing everything they can. And it's not even about like me, John Keane, or Jesse Howell, or any individual. It's like a group. It's a group thing. Like this benefits us all. We're trying to spread higher consciousness, right? We're trying to spread love. You know, like as they're trying to infect the world with black fucking goo and synthetic parasites, we want to infect the world with something else that counters that. And you can arm yourself against all of those things if you are armed with love. And I mean that. Like, it overcomes everything. It can clean up a junkie. It can take a prostitute and make her pure. I mean, it doesn't matter, dude. I'm serious. There's nothing it can't overcome. You're never in a state of poverty or lack when you have it. Like you become abundance. And people see it and they're magnetized to it. They're magnetized to it. They want to be a part of it. They feel it. It's in your presence when you have it. So we need to share it. It's not just for us. Don't be like those same motherfuckers who have kept the secrets for themselves all these years. Why they watch humanity rip each other alive and use their power to manipulate and sow dissension amongst us, right? For our color and whatever else, right? Let's use it to unify each other. And let's use it to make all of us stronger, because we're only as strong as our weakest link, whether you believe that or not. It's the truth. And if we haven't learned after so many cycles, right, of destruction and shit that we went through on this planet, then maybe we don't deserve to go into the future. You know, maybe we don't. But I think we do. And I think we have. So let's help the other people learn too. Let's help the other people grow too. Let's let them be a part of what cool stuff we got going on. Like, you know, just tonight, I'm in the chat and I see just happy people. Even if it's a few or it's 100 in there, it doesn't matter. There's a ripple effect happening. And we are all affecting each other in a good way or a bad way. So we choose what way we do that. We are far more powerful than those that are supposedly in control. That's why they need us to manipulate the story. That's why they need us to manipulate the reality. If it wasn't so, they would have killed us a long time ago. But they're in the end game now. It's not doom and gloom either. That's just reality. You know? And we need leaders. Everybody has been trained how to follow, but nobody knows how to lead. Have you noticed that? I feel like if you were brought to this, to me, to Jesse, to anybody like this now, it's because you are meant to lead. And you have that inside of you. And you have something to give to the world, something to share with the world. So I hope you will. And I hope you'll help me share mine, and we all can share it together. So thank you guys. I appreciate all that you do. I love all of you, each and every one of you, and everything that you do. So please hit the thumbs up, share it, leave a comment, let me know what you think. It really does help with the algorithms. And if you can support and donate, it's greatly appreciated. And I try to make it cool for those who do, with the exclusive content and all of that. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. And thank you. All right, guys. Much love to all of you. Peace.
I'm gonna tip off the windmill. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.